Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail. Hey, everybody, it is so great to have you all tuning us in and turning us on. I'm so thrilled about today's show. I love, and so do all of you. We love Christine Upchurch. She's joining us here today. What a big, big show. Big show, big topic. And, you know, this is what I love, a way how Linda lines things up with the shows. We get to talk about energy from a lot of different perspectives. Today, for the love of money, a spiritual perspective with my very special co-host and guest today, Christine Upchurch. For those of you that are not familiar with Christine and her work, is decades ago, if I might say, she literally rewrote the narrative on energy and what that means, and what cutting edge means, and why it is that we no longer have to keep science over here, spirituality over here, energy over here, and, let's bring them all together. Writer, teacher, inspirational speaker, energy healer, host of the amazing syndicated show, The Christine Upchurch Show. And guess why? Because this is like not something that either one of us say yes to without having to go through our own reactivation, our own energy tune-ups. You just don't get to show up here like we're doing right now. You ready? We just don't get to show up here like this if we haven't had a few bumps in the road. Seriously, a few bumps in the road. But today she works with people all over the world because her bumps become the bump removal process for the rest of us. And what does that mean? That means we get to look at the amazing energy work that she does. Her story is about learning. It's about teaching others about what she has learned, and to be selfless about how she shows up in the world to say, hello, there is another way to heal. And by the way, it's self-empowering. Christine, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here.
Thank you, Pat. When you're talking about bumps in the road, I thought they were potholes and sinkholes, actually.
They were. Actually, I usually do use the pothole analogy, but I got so many emails from the people that live in New York because I talk about the fact that I live in New York and we're familiar with potholes, so I refer to them. Right. So I just was trying to use bumps today because now we live in Seattle.
That sounds much more elegant than actually what has happened in my life.
But what is it about what's happened in your life that has taken you to today? I mean, there has to be something, especially around today's topic, something that you and I, right, have had to really look at, bump into, whatever we want to call it, that says, wait a minute, we need to have a fresh conversation.
There are so many things about life when we experience them, we're thinking, oh, crap, why me? Or we're thinking, oh, well, this has been an interesting learning experience. Or I feel a little like I've got multiple personalities because I've done this and I've done that. And now I'm not doing either of these things anymore. But really, when you get to my age or stage, it's kind of like looking back and seeing that all the pieces fit together for a very good reason, including, and I've just discovered this with the topic we're talking about today, something that happened to me as a child that helped me with a vibrational understanding of our topic today. So it's, it's kind of like it on some level, it's the bumps, it's the potholes. Another level, it's just divinely orchestrated to get us to the place where we're on our mission. And part of my mission is helping others to learn how to get onto theirs.
Yeah, and isn't this interesting? I was talking about at the previous show, I was talking about Prince for a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not into talking about what Prince was or what he wasn't. I really was talking about how selfless he was
Yeah.
with writing other music for other people. There are many stories about that.
Uh-huh.
About, wait a minute, I think, let me look at your material and I'm going to go through and I'll give it back to you. And by the way, now I've rewritten and given you this gift.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a part of his energy. And,
Yeah.
and I think that's a part of why he was so beloved.
Yes, and successful. He
There you
was
go.
financially successful. Let's not avoid that
No.
issue, because I think what happens is there are a lot of people who listen to shows like yours, shows like mine, who are very spiritual, very conscious minded, and yet they have this feeling that, oh well, it's okay to do good in the world, but we're not supposed to be making lots of money at it.
Where does that come from? Because you're absolutely right. Where does that come from?
Well, I think that it's rooted in our culture, quite honestly. There's the expression, money is the root of all evil, right? And when you go back to the origin of it, it's actually in the Bible. It's the expression is the love of money is the root of all evil. So we have this sense that somehow this thing called money, this financial abundance or lack thereof, relates to how spiritual we are. And it actually impedes a lot of individuals, and I believe that it is causing problems in our world today in terms of who's got the money, what's happening with money, and how the financial flow occurs because of our perception of money.
Yeah. And this came up when we were doing the 10 myths about spirituality.
It did.
And what we came up with was this was number 8.
It was
and
number
says
8,
money
yes.
isn't spiritual. Because wait a minute, that is what we believe. And even if we don't say it, we still carry it, right?
Yeah, yeah. And it's
Yeah.
this concept that it's ego-based. It's
Yep.
it's the antithesis of spiritual. But when you look at what money is, okay, very simply, from kind of the economic perspective, money represents a certain level of an exchange of energy, an exchange of for goods and services, all right? But when you get to like a higher level perspective, it is energy. It is representative of energy, and therefore it is energy. And it's representative of a certain flow of energy, whether it's going in or coming out. So if you've got money coming into you, it is a flow of energy into you. If you've got money going out, you are moving that energy outward. But here's the deal. Energy must flow. And if we try to like hang on, if we have this perception that I don't have enough or I need to have more or whatever, it actually stops the flow of energy. So money in essence is actually representative of the energy of somebody's efforts, energy coming from the divine as in terms of creativity, such as what Prince had offered. It is money for like the blood, sweat, and tears of like the farmers who've picked the apples, whatever it is representative of energy that is flowing through. And we use money to not only offer it in exchange for what has been, we are actually putting it into the flow going forward.
Yeah. And one of the things that you're talking about is the flow has a couple of different directions.
Yes.
It's not just honoring one direction, because we sometimes do that.
We do.
And, I wish you would talk about this for a little bit. Sometimes there are some people say, I can honor the flow of receiving. Other people say I can honor the flow of giving, but can't receive.
Right.
So you have to be able to do both. Can you talk about what happens if we don't?
Yes. Well, it's stopping the flow, obviously. And the thing is, there are a lot of people out there who are really good at receiving the money, or they think that that's what they really want. They just want to receive. And in fact, there are a lot of people out there who will focus a lot of time and energy trying to do exactly that. And then there are others who it's just kind of like, I just want to give, and they don't feel necessarily worthy or wanting to receive. And either end of it, it's kind of broken because it is a flow. And so if you're saying, okay, no, I can't handle that. If you think of a river flowing, then you're essentially putting in like a little dam saying, no, it can't flow through me. Of course, it's coming my direction. So in order for it to continue to flow through the world, it needs to come into me and move through. So what you're doing is you're basically damming the flow. And I meant D-A-M-M-I-N-G. Because God forbid I should actually use a curse word on the radio. But
I don't even know if that's a curse word in the day we live in. I mean, we have certainly loosened that deal up. But, don't you work with people? You co-created several activations. And these activations, right, are energetic processes that you've used to help people shift.
Right.
Because this is not something that we have to be stuck with. We may be stuck in our relationship with money and we may be attached. But one of the things you talk about is, wait a minute, attachment, what is attachment? What is love? And what's expectation? What is the difference? What is the energy of all of the above? Let's take a short break and we come back. We're going to talk about these. Whoever told you it's not okay to have expectations, not to have a vision or a dream? But expectations is really different than attachment. And then what about the love? Stay tuned. Christine Upchurch in the house. When we come back, I'm going to give you lots of information. And if you've got any questions about this, or if you're stuck or have hit a bump in the road, that money bump, that thing that's getting in the way from you and your good, 1-800-930-2819. Give us a shout. We'll be right back.
There are so many resources out there for meditation. But did you know that Atana's Heart Earth Healing Meditation is available for you for free? Yes, that's right. You can receive this free healing meditation today from Atana Vadili. All you need to do is visit his website, atanamethod.com. That's ATAANA method.com, and sign up. You will receive your free meditation instantly. That's atanamethod.com.
Tune in to the Angels and Answers Psychic Radio Show with clairvoyants Artie Hoffman and Sky Siegel every Thursday for a 2-hour show, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Transformation Talk Radio. Artie and Sky deliver spiritual and motivational messages with passion and a sense of humor. Call in 800-930-2819 for live and on-air readings. Visit artiehoffman.com and skyofangels.com.
Chris Stanis is a spiritual leader and healer and teaches a course on how you can transform your life through a meditation and healing system that will manifest your spirit's dreams. She manifested the Women of Wisdom Conference, the Women of Wisdom book, and this radio show. And she can show you how to change your life too. Are you ready? Visit the website and contact her at voicesofwomentoday.com. That's voicesofwomentoday.com.
Tune in to Lucid Planet Radio with Dr. Kelly Neff. This hit show will illuminate your senses and empower you beyond your daily stressors and hardships. Renowned psychologist and author Dr. Kelly will captivate you with far-reaching topics and amazing guests as you wake to the greatest version of yourself. Learn to tap into your intuitions, think critically about our world, heal emotional and psychological wounds, and follow your passions to live your dreams. The Lucid Planet. Welcome home. Visit lucidplanetradio.com for more information.
Are you ready for a game changer? Sarah Westall is bringing you Business Game Changers Radio. Sarah brings you leading experts, visionaries, and newsmakers who provide the best commentary on big issues and cutting-edge innovations. Sarah's 20 years as a business executive will help you think like an entrepreneur with expertise, energy, and attitude. Tune in to Business Game Changers Mondays at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Almost everyone at some time in their lives ask themselves, what am I? Most of our questions are ego-generated and simply don't address the problem of our false self. It's time to relax your ego and embody your soul. Dr. Dan Cohen, neurologist, inventor, and author, has created tools to awaken a new way to transform from who you thought you were into what you truly are. Visit toolstoawaken.com today.
Hey, everybody, I got a question for you. Christine Upchurch is here, and she's going to take us through this. So if you're listening to the show today, because what we're talking about here today, are you ready? For the love of money, a spiritual perspective, Christine Upchurch. So if I say, repeat after me, right? Christine's going to help me with this. But if I say, repeat after me, I love money. I am money. I love to get money. I love to give money. Not a little bit of money. Millions, millions, millions. I could have millions. So if you're hearing me say that, are you thinking, what the heck has happened to Pat? Are you thinking, oh my gosh, she's just going crazy? That's her ego. I don't know, Christine. Is it or not? What the heck, right?
Well, first of all, I know you, so it's not ego. But secondly, when you say something like that, it could be ego-based, and it could also be actually spiritually based, because when you look at what money is, and that is, it's representation of energy that has been expended, or something, a valuable resource from the planet, something that in its essence is quite beautiful. If you say you love it, and you when you're honoring what it represents, then there's no problem with that. If you see it as something which flows, and there's abundance of that flowing river of money, so to speak, then there's no problem with it. But if instead it's about your attachment, like I want the money, it's mine, I can't survive without it. It's like, oh, I have to have it. That attachment then it's actually ego-based. But you can have the attachment going the other way. There are a lot of people out there who are very judgmental of money, and they actually have attachment to not having it. They may not realize it, but it's a different kind of attachment. That repulsion is a form of attachment.
Yeah. And so let's talk about the difference between attachment and expectation. I get beat up a little bit in the public for a number of different things. Are you surprised?
No, I mean, you are who you are, and you're on your path, and you're out there. And so therefore, not everybody's going to like you. Lots of people adore you, but not everybody's going to like you, because it comes with the territory.
I know. I love that I get the feedback, though.
Yeah.
Because then I get to further explain. I got some feedback when I shared the monkey bar story, so that was good too.
Uh-huh.
And but here's the thing that I want to say about this. I'm one of these people that I actually believe in expectations, and the reason I believe in expectations is because we expect things. Christine, listen. If I said to you, Christine, you're going to be on the show today, and you're on the show today, you're going to expect to be on the show today.
Right.
If somehow you're not on the show today, that is not really very good.
No.
That doesn't mean you're going to change your expectations,
right.
But you're not going to be attached to the outcome of that.
Sure.
Isn't it the same with money? Isn't there this idea that we have to have some kind of vision, but what if it doesn't work out?
Well, it's funny, Pat, because I think for a lot of people that vision is really important, that expectation. But there are actually a subset of people, and this relates to my vibration of change work. There's a subset of people for whom the vision's not important. If they're really a go-with-the-flow kind of person, that they trust in the parent that the universe is, then they don't need to have that kind of expectation. It just naturally flows. But for probably 80% of people, having some sort of vision, having some sort of expectation without the attachment, kind of like, oh, yeah, of course. Like, of course the sun's going to rise today. It may be behind some clouds here in Seattle, but of course it's going to rise. It's that expectation of, oh, yeah, it will happen. And then when the clouds are in the sky and you don't see the sun, it's not like, oh my God, maybe the sun didn't rise today. It's not that kind of sort of fear, but rather, oh yeah, I know that the sun rose. I may not see it right now, but I know that I'll eventually see the sun. So you can have that kind of expectation without the attachment of how and when it's going to appear.
I was watching something this morning, and I would love for you to talk to me about this, especially with money. I don't watch a lot of TV with the media and, stuff like that.
Yeah, me too.
But, okay, so why do I watch the Weather Channel? I don't know, Christine, honestly. I can't tell you why. I watch the Weather Channel, and I watch Fixer Upper. that TV show. Okay.
I love
so I'm watching the
Fixer
Weather
Upper.
Channel.
That's great, yeah.
Right. I'm watching the Weather Channel this morning, and I got all weirded out.
Why?
I just got weirded out. I mean, I'm watching the Weather Channel, and I want to get like, what's the deal? What's the weather? What's going on? Should we have super battery backup for the shows today? Right. All of a sudden, we got 35 minutes or something on how tornadoes work.
Right.
And why they are, and why they're going to happen in most of the lower half of the country. And I thought, wow, I'm afraid now. I don't even live in this part of the country.
Yep.
Isn't this the same with money?
Yes.
Doesn't money invite fear? Probably more than a lot of other things.
Mm-hmm. I think that a large part of the fear has to do with our misconception of what it is. If we really see money as this beautiful representation of energy that's been expended, that is going to be expended, that the energy of our earth, the energy of our human inhabitants, then it's really not about, it shouldn't be about fear, right? But if we see it as something that is this thing that we either have or don't have, then it does invite fear, because it's something that we don't naturally have. It's not naturally in our flow. But just like our spiritual flow, that river of sufficiency, that river of abundance flows our way if we allow it.
Yeah. There's something that is so important to this conversation that I've just been waiting for you to talk about. Conscious manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
I know you put that in here, and I'm like, and I know we're going to talk about it. It's such a beautiful term. What is it? Beautiful is my word for today. It is a beautiful term. Mm-hmm. It's like conscious manifestation. You want to go, right?
Right.
Because we can consciously manifest amazing things, and we can consciously manifest not so amazing things.
And generally speaking, we're unconsciously manifesting a whole lot of things we don't want. And, it's funny because I did that the other day. Now, I've gotten so that I'm pretty good at manifesting things fairly quickly. And it's not a matter of, I have to go into a meditation state with the candle lit and, in the quiet room and knock and push my cats out the door, kind of thing. Like I have to have my space. And it's more of a flow, and it's like, okay, here it is. This is what I want, or this would be cool to get, and things will manifest. Well, the other day on Friday, I found myself saying to somebody, I've made it through fall, winter, and so far this spring without getting sick. So by the next day, I had a scratchy throat, and it's like, oh, what did I manifest here? What I should have said instead is, I've managed to go through fall, winter, and so far this spring being healthy. So it's just the matter of what we're focusing on, not only within the context of conscious manifestation, which we can talk more about, like how to go about that, but just in that moment-to-moment flow in our daily lives. And so if we have this momentary flow of, okay, I've got to pay this bill, and suddenly there's this constriction in our throat or our gut, and we're not doing anything to sort of ease that, then we're actually creating the constriction of the flow of money. We're putting up that dam in that river. But in terms of the conscious manifestation, I'm a big proponent of, for most people, and we'll get into this in a minute, but for most people, doing some sort of conscious manifestation technique can be helpful because it can allow us to create the space to feel good about, about money or abundance, really, because I think that a lot of people still have issues with money. So instead of thinking in terms of, manifesting X number of dollars, just think in terms of what you want to manifest in terms of ease in your life. What kind of aspects of abundance do you want to manifest? Having ease in maintaining the shelter over your head and being able to go out the grocery store and buy whatever you want. Having ease, finding your way to traveling worldwide, because, you could end up manifesting, a whole lot of money in order to travel, but you could also end up with some great connections on Facebook that turn into places you can, people you can go stay with when you travel. I mean, there are all sorts of ways to have that abundance, but really it's a matter of focusing on that, the abundance that we want, not the money per se, and then how we want to feel about it. Now, with the vibration of change, and you and I have talked about this before.
Yeah.
What's imperative to have in order to manifest any positive, lasting change, and this includes with money, is to have ease around it. You have to, on some vibrational level, be loving what is. Now, it doesn't mean you have to love what is. If you can love what is in every moment, then you're definitely there. But what these conscious manifestation techniques can allow us to do is get ourselves into the state of mind where we're, meditating or just on a walk, thinking in terms of, this manifestation of the abundance that we want to manifest. And if we get ourselves feeling good, then all of a sudden we feel like we already have that abundance. And that creates the vibration of loving what is, which allows the change to occur. So that piece of it, that ease around money, that loving what is, the acceptance of what is important for us, because otherwise without that we can't change. So the conscious manifestation techniques, whether it's affirmations, visualizations, vision boarding, can be very, very powerful ways of getting yourself into that vibration of loving what is so that you can actually manifest the abundance. But here's the caveat. There are a lot of people who think that they have to do it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And inherent in that process is the belief that you can't trust what you put out there the first time. And you're not going to get it unless you put in effort after effort after effort, time after time after time. And you have to keep redoing it because the universe didn't hear you the first time. That lack of trust is a kind of constriction, which is doing the opposite of, creating that ease that allows that abundance to flow through.
Yeah. And I think this is part of what we're going to talk about when we come back, because, I think that for a long time in the world of, let's just call it the world of human potential, if we could, for a really long time, we have really been told you have to own this T-shirt. You may have to read this book. And then wait a minute, if you're not done with the T-shirt and the book, then get the coffee mug. Then if you're not having the coffee mug, make sure you have a wall poster of all the affirmations you're supposed to say today. Oh, and then by the way, make sure that you not only have a vision board, which I actually believe in, but make sure you're keeping your vision board up to date. And there's a reason you do that, but it's all about the energy of it. It's all about the consciousness of it. When we come back, we're going to talk about this idea of coaching. How does coaching others in their relationship with money help? What is it about us today, 24/7? If you're like me, and maybe you're watching more than that Weather Channel. If you're like me and you're watching the Weather Channel, subliminally during the break, you're finding out you probably got arthritis. Maybe your sugar is too high. And by the way, if your blood pressure is off the charts, just call this number. If that's what you're doing and you meant to watch the weather, what is it about that where a little coaching goes a long way? And what is it about that that's really about money? Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I work all night, I work all day to pay the bills I have to pay. Ain't it sad? And still there never seems to be a single penny.
Hi, I'm Leslie Fontaine with Sheer Alchemy on Transformation Talk Radio, and here's your tip of the week. When we own our own responsibility, we're choosing to own our choices, our energy, our day, our jobs, our relationships. It's a tall order. And what difference does that make? Well, plenty. We're choosing to look within, to change agreements within ourselves, to keep our energy field clean, and to upgrade as needed to make choices that are authentic to us. This shifts our language. We no longer blame others. We're no longer victims of our circumstances. So if we don't get paid abundantly or loved abundantly, let's look within and ask, where am I not honoring myself? Where am I not loving myself? Let's change the agreement. Let's get real with what's in place, forgive ourselves and others, and shift into our new life. Visit me at lesliefontaine.com or call me at 678-665-3366. Let this be the last day that you choose to look outwardly and look within.
Naturopathic doctor, founder of the Martha's Vineyard Holistic Retreat, and author of the New York Times bestseller 21 Pounds in 21 Days, Dr. Ronnie DeLuce has helped tens of thousands of people, including celebrities and athletes, with her message of lifestyle change. Now Dr. Ronnie DeLuce wants to help you. You too can be saved. Email Dr. Ronnie DeLuce at info@ronniedeluceonradio.com and visit mtheholisticretreat.com. Dr. Ronnie DeLuce, your partner in wellness.
Do you want the freedom to spend more time with your loved ones? Travel the world? Live spontaneously? Get ready, because the Chip Justice Show is here. Hosts Dr. Pat Basile and Chip Justice can help you build meaningful success while embracing life. Living a life you love is the end game in this new, inspirational, and empowering show. Positive changes for a life you'll love. Tune in every month on TransformationTalkRadio.com and visit PositiveChangeInstitute.co for more information.
Have you ever tried to make lifestyle changes but had difficulty following through? Imagine what it would be like to get up each morning with energy, clarity, and motivation to tackle the day. If you want to get past limiting barriers that are preventing you from living your best life, join holistic health and wellness coach T. Carrie Mitchell each month on the Dr. Pat Show, or visit lifestyle120.com today and start to receive the personal attention you deserve.
Discover the 8 things the elements of prosperity want you to know. Lynn Brown is hosting a life-transforming, soul-expanding evening on April 30th featuring guest speaker and radio host Dr. Pat Basile. Lynn was guided to make this a by-donation event for entrants, and all proceeds will be donated towards uplifting the homeless community. For more information and to get tickets, visit eventbrite.com. That's eventbrite.com and type Lynn Brown in the search.
Oh, I'm sorry. I need to just make a comment about that. Benny, nice choice of music.
Thank you.
That group, they're loaded. They got so much money early on from what they're doing and what they did. No, not from Mamma Mia or not from. Do I have the right group, right, Benny?
ABBA, yeah, and there's a Benny
ABBA.
There's a Benny in the group too.
Oh,
just to
yeah.
let everybody
So
know.
much money because they did some stuff early on, right? Not to mention the whole Mamma Mia thing that got done here recently. But their consciousness is what Christine Upchurch is talking about today. And it's not a consciousness that's for a handful of people. If you're listening to this show and you're saying, yeah, I'm never going to have that. That's like 1% of the people. Well, you're going to want to call Christine. Before we go back to the conversation, we talk about, some of the techniques, some of what you've learned and what this coaching is about. How can people find out more about you? Please give out your website and also your contact information.
You can go to ChristineUpchurch.com. That's ChristineUpchurch.com, and there's a contact us page, and they can, find their way around my fairly new website, and there's information on vibration of change coaching, among other things.
Awesome. And brand new website, really kind of cool, right?
It is. It's funny because it was a labor of love. I decided I wanted to build it myself, and I can be a bit of a control freak when it comes to aesthetics. And, I helped my son build a website a couple of years ago on Weebly. I thought I can do it. And I still need to master all sorts of things. I need to get a marketing expert, to get all the right search words in there and all that kind of stuff. But I had such fun identifying the images and putting them in just the right place and coming in with the text. And of course, I wrote everything myself. And it was a labor of love. And but it's always changing too. And earlier on the show, you were talking about the top 10 spiritual myths, which we talked about on a previous show that I did with you. And I'm doing a blog series that is got some of the same information and some other things. And you can get to my blog on that on the website as well, ChristineUpchurch.com.
Well, I love it. Now, I know you work with people all over the world. And, I love sort of, if I could call it, the evolution of Christine Upchurch, so to speak. The evolution is now the revolution, right?
Yeah.
Because you're out in the world and you're changing things. And this is one area of things you're changing. How has your coaching others literally help people remove the blockages? Because this is really kind of what we're talking about. You've talked about this before, Christine, where you say, look, our bodies, we can heal. We just got to remove the stuff in the way. Is money the same thing?
It really is. And it really helps to shift our perspective about certain things. And you talk about, coaching. I did not ever intend to do coaching in relationship to money. And I had, a few years ago, I had a psychic reading done with a psychic. And when she tuned into me, I didn't know this woman. When she tuned into me, she's like, you have such an incredible vibration of abundance. And she's like, I want to learn from you. And so over the last couple of years, I've worked with her, and she's gone from really struggling financially, which you can imagine. There are people out there who probably want to be professional psychics. She's got a son to support. She actually is a professional psychic, and a lot of people don't, make ends meet that way. Well, she's gone from struggling to having months where she's making $8,000 or $9,000. So she's seen success, and so much of that is her own stuff. But she tells me that she's learned so much from me over the course of last couple of years that's helped shift her abundant situation. And it's really because for me, it's a matter of fact to have certain perspective about things, but for others, it's kind of illuminating, like, oh, I never thought about the things in those terms.
Wow. And this is really, if we can kind of get back to it, because I think it's like super important for us to remember, we can change. Mm-hmm. And you talked about something earlier. You talked about conscious. Right. And then unconscious or subconscious. Right. And I want to talk about, what some of us might experience, right?
Right.
We go down a pathway, and one of the things I was introduced to is a term called self-bullying.
Oh, yeah. We do that a lot, don't we?
But we do it around money.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Can you talk about how you've seen it show up in people and how sometimes we cannot see it for ourselves?
Yeah. Well, I think that there are a lot of worthiness issues out there. I think that it's plaguing the world, particularly among women, but among men as well, that we aren't worthy of all sorts of things. We aren't worthy of being treated well in relationships. We're not worthy of having a relationship. We're not worthy of having support when we're maintaining a household. We're not worthy of big bucks. We're not worthy of, a job with prestige. We're not worthy of stepping into a career where our passion becomes our work. And so there are aspects of that, but there's so much more that goes beyond the judgment of money. There's the self-judgment, I don't have enough. I'm not worth enough. Then there is the judgment of the money itself. And this is prevalent across our society and across the world, because I know we're talking all over the world, that somehow people with money are bad. So every time you say, I want to have money, you're turning that into, I want to be bad, but I don't want to be bad. It's this inner conflict because that judgment of others turns into judgment of ourselves. Mm. So, we need to sort of untangle that self-judgment and become aware of it, because we're not going to get rid of it. That inner bullying, we can actually give that inner bully less power, but we're not going to eradicate it completely. And we just need to buy into that now. Understand that negative talk, that you might hear sometimes upon awakening, or when you're going to bed at night, or when you're stuck in traffic in the car, that inner bully is going to be there. And it might become less powerful if you start listening to it less or start laughing at it,
Exactly.
And recognizing it, okay, it's a wounded aspect of myself, and it's not my true essence. But yeah, the judgment, which all turns into self-judgment one way or another, is an important aspect of staying stuck.
You know, it's an interesting term, the whole self-bullying term. I think it was, I can't remember exactly when I first heard it, but it was really interesting. And then I thought to myself, well, wait a minute. You know, what about the dialogue that we might have when that shows up? You know, what is the dialogue we may have? I mean, and we have to decide whether we're going to choose to dialogue with that part of ourselves or just tell it to be quiet. The same thing around money. You know, it's kind of like, yeah, you can turn your TV off. I have a friend, by the way, that if she watches TV, she's so vigilant about every time the commercials comes on, she mutes the channel.
Right.
And plays like a video game for 3 minutes.
Oh. Do you know what I do during commercials now?
No.
You know, I don't watch a lot of TV, but I love HGTV when I do like home and garden television. I love
Me
that
too.
stuff,
That's the fixer-upper
Right,
channel.
exactly. So when the commercials come on, I like to mimic them, you know. Oh, may cause anal leakage and death, you know, like, oh, that sounds like a really good drug to get on, you know. So yeah. So it's or it's like, oh, there's another one. That's the fifth medical prescription drug commercial that's been put on this half hour. Isn't that interesting? I wonder who's got the money behind that. So
wow, yeah, you're right.
You can either like, as long as you're aware, like this is not something I want to ingest, you know, in terms of listening to it, I'm going to mute it, or there it is, and I'm listening to it, and I'm not buying into it, and I find it amusing.
Yeah, it's interesting what we tell ourselves too, and money's the same way. It's kind of like I have a pot, I have a pot that's outside my window. I plant flowers, you know, every year, but there's some things that you can leave out. We're in the Pacific Northwest.
Right.
And so I was describing that I've got this pot out here and I've got the heather out there, but all of a sudden coming out of this pot are these other plants. And a friend of mine said, oh, they're not plants, they're weeds. And for a minute, I believed that. And then I thought, well, wait a minute. They can't be weeds. I mean, this is a pot. It's not on the ground.
Right.
It's up in the air. I mean, why would they be weeds? So isn't questioning also a way to help us understand where our conscious or unconscious, you know, motivations are coming from?
Yeah. And the questioning is important. But what's even more important than the questioning is to get to a place of, regardless of what's going on, get yourself into what I call vibrational ease. And you know, and that is whenever you're feeling uptight about money, to get yourself into a situation where you're no longer feeling that stress. If you're talking about, you know, paying bills and all of a sudden you're stressed, go out, take a walk, do something like turn on music, dance around, then sit down and enjoy, pay your bills. You know, whatever it is, to get yourself into that place of ease and comfort and loving what is in that moment when you're dealing with something financial or planning something out financial, then it truly helps shift your financial situation.
Yeah, I went and played table tennis yesterday. That's what I did.
Good.
Ping pong. I went and played ping pong. You know, part of this, though, and I'd like to skip the break because I would love to be able to talk about, you know, a couple of these other things. And one of them is you talk about trust.
Yeah.
It is a great word. Trust is one of my favorite words. It's also one of my greatest challenges, you know, right now in the world. And I wanted to talk with you about trust and what that means when we're talking about money, because you know the expression, there's some things we don't talk about at Thanksgiving dinner. One of them has to do with religion, although my folks did talk about that. But then the other ones has to do with money. No, never.
Yeah.
Never bring it up.
Yeah. And really, when I think it's important that we analyze our trust relating to financial abundance, because when we look at whether or not we trust that the universe is going to support us, whether we're going to be a part of that flow of energy that flows through everyone, whether or not we're worthy of it, we need to ask ourselves on a bigger picture, do we trust that the universe is a supportive universe? Or do we think that perhaps it's not supportive of us in particular, or that, you know, it's going to somehow get us, create problems, put obstacles in our way? that fundamental question about whether or not we believe in a supporting God or universe or however you want to put it, is really important, not only in terms of the flow of finances into our, into our lives, but also in terms of what else comes to us. And it's really important. And if we can sort of look at it in relationship to money, we can understand on a bigger picture whether or not we have trust in the universe.
Well, I mean, how does trust show up in the world of money? But most importantly, how does trust show up in manifestation?
Well, that letting go is an essential part, and we don't let go without the trust. So we need to find a way to get into the vibration of letting go. We need to get ourselves into this place of letting go in the moment. And even if we can't fully trust that, okay, I'm going to have a way to support myself next week, or I'm going to find that career where I can express myself fully and be financially abundant, then get yourself into feeling that sense of letting go and surrender in your life in other ways. I said before, turn on music and dance if that's what inspires you. Go out into nature. Find a way to just sort of, check out in a way that you feel really positive. For you and I, Pat, it might be, okay, let's look at, some renovations on TV and think about decorating and be inspired by color, whatever it is, where you can create that vibrational ease is what I call it. It allows the trust to kind of take care of itself, because if you can stop focusing on what's not working and come to this place of ease, then it's going to flow into your life.
There's something that's so important around this conversation, and it has to do with what we've observed over the past years and how we articulate that. Clearly there are some people that have looked at the money situation, the economy situation for the past 10 years. And yet there are people that look at that and just really don't want to even think about it. There are other people that say it was one of the greatest injustices that have ever happened.
Right. And on some level, that is absolutely true. It shows how imbalanced we can be with money. But here's something key. What we saw was on an organizational level, on a banking level, on a government level, that things were out of balance. There was lack of integrity of flow. Now, this is a really important concept, and there are a lot of people who've never heard of this concept, but they experience it one way or another in their lives. There are a lot of people who are very spiritual, very conscious, think of themselves as being very fair individuals, and yet they themselves can step out of integrity with the flow. For instance, do you know of people who, have you ever thought of just posting something on Facebook with an image that you just got off the internet somewhere?
Yeah.
That's a nice image, without thinking about what went into the creation of that image. Who owns that image? Right? Am I allowed to do this? Not because it's just the rules, but rather because it's honoring the energy that went into the creation of that image. Same thing's true with, there are a lot of people out there who I've known who are very conscious in a lot of ways, and they'll take a CD, Remember those CDs that we used to have? A lot of people still have some of them, right? And they'll say, "Oh, you want to put this on your iTunes here?" And they'll hand out the CD to multiple friends and family members, thinking that's fine. But that dishonors the energy that went into the musician or musicians and the company that put that together. So we need to be in utmost integrity and flow, so that we're not just criticizing other people, but we're rather looking at ourselves and saying, am I really respecting what I'm doing with somebody else's product, with somebody else's image, whatever it is? Am I honoring the flow? Because that honoring is a really important part of creating abundance in your own life.
And I think really, you're right about something. We're so plugged into social media, the next post or the next idea or the next statement or the next this or the next that. that we're not really in that place of honoring. Yet the flip side of that, and this is really the flip side, perhaps that even gets to greed. I don't know how to think about this, is that, I'm looking at the music industry now, and, two of our networks that we know of are literally having to shut down because a lot of what they do is music, and they cannot pay the cost of the new music fees for archiving.
Yeah.
And it's gotten so difficult for them that they're saying, and by the way, CBS is selling pretty much, I read about a week ago, they're selling all of their radio networks everywhere.
Wow.
Because the cost of some of this is just, it's just, you can't repair it. Can we go in one direction or another that affects a global impact? I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
The raising the price for the license of playing a song or archiving it had such a ripple effect that I don't know that many people thought about it.
Yeah, it's a complex situation, but I think that fundamentally we have gotten away from honoring what money represents, and that in and of itself has created imbalance in our world. So really, what that money represents is, yes, there's a company behind the music, and they have to take risks with new bands. They have to take risks with, getting music out there. But they're, really we're honoring the energy of the musician, some of the energy of that company, but it's not all about the company. And if we start focusing on, this is where I'm putting my money because I honor money, and therefore I'm honoring where my money goes, then we might be sending it to an individual such as Michael Tomlinson, somebody who comes to mind, who stepped out of the music industry, a long time ago, and because he thought this is really unfair. And so, okay, well, if you like his music, you can deal with him directly. It's not an advertisement for Michael. He's great, but it's just he's an individual who sort of stepped out of that. Are we going to put our money into McDonald's, so to speak? That's just another possibility. Like when we go and get some of those fries, are we truly honoring the energy of the earth? Are we truly honoring this energetic flow? It's like every single time we're putting money out there, we are essentially helping to direct the flow of what's positive and what's negative. And so it's very, very empowering, not only to have the money to have more vote or say like where that flow is going to be, but also to sort of seed whether something is going to get more power or not.
Yeah, I love it. Christine, what a great show today. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Before we kind of wrap up, please give out your website again and let folks know how they can get a hold of you directly.
Okay, well, it's ChristineUpchurch.com, and if you're not on the internet, then you can reach my office, 425-999-9836. That's 425-999-9836. And,
tell them about the show.
Oh, yes. Every Friday, without fail, I do the Christine Upchurch show. And we talk about consciousness. We talk about health and well-being. We talk about all sorts of things that relate to what's going on the planet right now. And I know that there are a lot of people out there who listen to your show as well, who are just like needing something new to change. It's like, things are going along, okay, things are going well, and all of a sudden at this stage in our planet, there are a lot of people who are saying, wait a minute, something feels out of balance. I'm not sure what it is, but I need some guidance. And with shows like yours, shows like mine, we're offering some additional ways, some new perspective on how to create positive, lasting change.
Yeah, and that is really the most important thing about all of this today. Money does have an energy. How we think about it, how we use it, and how we bring it into our lives really has an origin. And, the work that you do, Christine, is amazing. Thank you so much for today. One last question. What's your personal message? What would you like to leave us with?
Oh, trust in wherever you're at right now. There's nothing to judge. It's perfect. It helped you to arrive at this stage, and it's a stage ripe with potential for change.
Love it. Thank you so much. Christine Upchurch, everyone. I'm Dr. Pat. If you want to find out more about us, go to transformationtalkradio.com. Also, you can go ahead and go to the drpatshow.com. And then if you do want to take a peek, go to transformationradio.fm.com. And many of you are starting to look for our podcast 123 network. Yeah, all of this is coming around in a couple of months. Stay tuned, everybody. More coming up on Transformation Talk Radio.
Preceding audio was via a Skype call.